Hello to all our friends from the Nerdverse. Welcome to the Nerdy Reads podcast. We read nerdy stuff such as sci-fi, fantasy books, comics, manga, and horror. We also discuss all other nerd things from around the globe. Have you ever felt like someone was watching you? Maybe you felt the presence of someone you believe is not of this world. Well, today we are covering a story of a more ghostly nature as we continue our journey through Stephen King's You Like It Darker, a series of short stories where today we will discuss RattleSnakes. We will take a step into the New Stuff Cafe where our friends are trying a very interesting ramen. There's a Manga Madness, some nerdy news, and a lot of fun along the way on this action-packed episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast. I am one of your hosts, Justin. With me is my friend and fellow host, Robert. What's up, dude?
Dude, Justin, what's going on? As always, I'm excited to be back for what I believe is episode 65 of the Nerdy Reads podcast. That is a lot of episodes we've done, my friend, but I digress. I'm ready to introduce the birthday boy himself. It's Dylan.
Woo! Listen, I appreciate all the hype and all the birthday love, but we have an even more special, an even more epic, an even more awesome, an even more magical, majestic, the man, the myth, the legend. Sometimes he's sweet, and sometimes he's even sour. It's Kiwi.
Hey!
Sweet and sour. What are they? That's what is that? Sour Patch Kids, right? Anyways, what I'm hearing is we're only 4 episodes away from the best episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. He also called you majestic.
I am, yeah. It's right here. It's in the hair.
Hey, dude, the hair's looking
It's in the
nice,
hair.
bro.
Yeah, I took a shower, so it's a little wet.
For all our female listeners, are you available, Kiwi?
Sure.
There you go. You heard it here first, man. Kiwi single and ready to mingle, baby.
There you go.
All right, Robert, you got a question for us today?
So I recently shared my summer TBR on our socials and in our Discord. So I'm curious, gentlemen, what's your summer reading list look like? Give me one book you plan on reading before fall. We'll start with Kiwi, our guest.
All right, perfect. This is one I just found recently, and I assume, well, I won't put a picture up, but it's called Artificial Wisdom, and it's a debut book. It's by Thomas Weaver, and kind of the rundown, it's a sci-fi murder mystery where they're having an election to decide who's going to be the dictator of the world. And it's between one former U.S. president and an artificial intelligence. So it's got murder mystery, it's got sci-fi, and I've heard it's a really great book. So that's on my list.
Dude, I'm going to have to look into this myself.
I'm continuing on my Dragonlance quest right now because we are going to eventually cover book 3. I read it the first time through, and now I'm doing a listen through on the book. So I went ahead and got those on Audible, and the narrating on those are pretty awesome. So been back on that just to get myself ready for 3. So that way I'm fresh when book 3 drops in August.
Dude, I respect it. I cannot wait for that book. I am beyond hype for that. That's a day one, probably midnight, have it loaded up on the Kindle, ready to go. Dylan, this is what the audience wants to know right here. From now until the start of fall, is there one book you're going to read?
Technically, yeah. So last week on the show, I shared how excited I am for James Gunn's upcoming Superman film. And he took a lot of inspiration from the series All-Star Superman. And I recently purchased the full graphic novel of that series, and I plan on reading that. So technically, that is a book that I will be reading.
That counts, bro.
That does count. There, Dylan reads, everybody. I love it.
Yeah, dude. That's Nerdy Reads podcast. Yeah, dude. We count picture books in here.
we count whether it's Superman or it's Naruto. We count comics here on this show.
There we go.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to checking out The Silent Forest by David Coomer. We had him on our show recently. He was very kind to come on. It was an awesome interview. Had a great time with him. Love The Misery House. Really looking forward to diving into the second book in that series.
Nice. Speaking of picture books, it's time for Manga Madness! All right, so this week's Manga Madness segment is brought to you by the best anime podcast out there, Anime Tofu, where the team watches one episode and pass all sorts of judgment on it to help you determine if you should binge, pass, or give it a 3-episode try. So today we're discussing Hira Yasumi, Volume 1. So before I took my trip to Vegas, I was strolling through Barnes & Noble, trying to pick out a couple of books and a manga to read while we were traveling. And as I look at the recently released manga section, there's a table there, and this one just immediately jumped out to me. One of the reasons is if you've been a listener to Nerdy Reads podcast, which you probably heard the story 1,000 times about why we decided to form this, but it's all based on cozy books. We love cozy, we love slice of life, all that kind of stuff. Well, looking at the cover of this just seemed to fit the bill, and I'm happy to report that it definitely did. So here's the little synopsis on that. We follow Hiroto, a 29-year-old carefree guy who enjoys the small things in life and lives at his own pace. He gets a very special inheritance, which has set him up with a modest house, and he does not have to pay for. So eventually his cousin Natsumi comes to live with him, and she goes to college in the big city. She's an aspiring art student, and Hirito is content with working at the fishing pond and taking it a day at a time. The personalities sometimes clash, but that is part of the charm of this one. 3 reasons why I recommend it. Slice of life at its finest. It's a new series, making this a great jumping on point. It's always fun to jump on when things are just getting started. And one of the main protagonists is an adult, which is something that we like here. If you watch anime or you do any of that kind of stuff, a lot of times you're following the life of some child, and sometimes it gets a little old. So this is actually an adult. And they are very likable characters, making this a very relaxing read. This one is listed at $14.99 and can be purchased now wherever you buy your manga. So really enjoyed this one.
Very few manga and anime with adults in it.
So true, dude. So true. That's one of the things I liked about Kaiju number 8 too. So
yeah.
I was gonna say Kaiju number 8 felt fresh for that reason. And when you told me the name of this one, I went and looked it up on Viz, and I read the 20-page free preview. And right off the jump, I can relate to this dude, man. He's just dude's just out there trying to live life, bro. I didn't get very far in the preview, but he said he sweet talks all the old ladies. That's what I do at work.
I mean, this is legitimately slice of life. You step into this dude's world for a little bit. Anyway, very relaxing. I like this book. It's really cool. Fits the bill. I'm definitely going to pre-order and get the next one. So when that drops sometime in, I think, September, October, something like that. So great stuff. Great stuff. All right, guys, give us just a few minutes. We'll be right back as we're going to step into the New Stuff Cafe, where we have an interesting thing to try and a fun little would you spend the night type game. So give us just a few minutes. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the New Stuff Cafe. We'll be hitting a few topics here in just a moment. Before we do, Robert, I could tell you were just chomping at the bit to share with us what you guys are having today.
We like to take recommendations, no matter how perverse, from our Discord. And user Joshua reached out in the cafe menu and let us know that Cup Noodles, owned by Nissan brand, has released campfire s'mores for the summer. This is a blending of ramen noodles with chocolate, graham cracker, and marshmallow flavors, plus a touch of smokiness to capture that campfire experience. I don't know about you guys, man. I mean, s'mores are okay. Like, I'll eat it, but I've never thought, you know what? I wish I had savory s'mores. And that's what I'm getting from this. It looks disgusting.
Show us on the screen, bro. Like, just pull it up, pull the noodle. Oh,
how's that, dude? How's that? It looks like something you find at a campfire. Looks like worms.
Dylan, I think that's been stirred, my friend.
I put too much water in mine, so it kind of flooded the microwave.
Oh no.
They have a line that tells you where to stop it, dude.
Yeah, well, the ramen was all in one piece at the bottom, so it didn't seep into it. But I was smart, and I put a paper plate underneath it, so it just landed on the paper plate.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
Well, these are going to set you back 400 calories if you eat the whole thing, which, judging from the smell, none of us are going to. Skull.
Skull.
That's a big bite there.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I'll do the small bite.
Dylan's the first one, bro. And it's crunchy. What? Right in the mic, though.
Hey, bro. It's honestly, it's edible.
Oh.
It's not great by any means of the word. It's edible.
Dude, Dylan has an iron stomach.
BJ's about to come out the other end.
I wouldn't eat the whole thing.
Will you take another bite, though?
I'll take another bite.
I'm trying to find the marshmallows.
DJ, 3-bite rule, bro. You got 2 more in you.
Yeah, you got a 3-bite try.
Did you get any marshmallows, Dylan?
I don't know. I feel like my marshmallows just disintegrated.
I think mine also disintegrated.
Keaton, bro, are you wearing a tennis visor thing, bro?
No, it's a hat.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Keaton does rock those visors, though.
I wish I was cool enough to rock the visor. That's all I'm saying.
I have 4 of them.
Dude, Robert just took a big old bite of it. Robert hasn't said a word, and he just looks really sad. Like, it's actually, this is one of my favorite food reviews because usually Robert's just talking trash the whole time. He just looks really sad. For those of you who are listeners and not viewers, maybe this is where you go to the YouTube and fast forward a little bit just to see Robert and all his glory.
It's not good at all.
No?
No, it's chocolatey. And it's not like a good chocolate.
Dude, Dylan's like bottoms up over here.
He lost some of it there. 3-bite rule, right? I'll get a big one.
Yeah, everybody's got to do 3 bites. It's not like that I'm the one that's sitting here telling you guys I'm not even eating it.
You have a vegan who can't even try it. He's living his best life right now.
I'm scared to go.
Robert, you
for
just
a big
look
one.
sad, bro. Dude, Dylan's on bite number 4, bro. Dylan might eat the whole thing. There's only so much noodle in the cup of noodle.
I've heard of cup noodles from Final Fantasy and some animes. Full disclaimer, I've never had instant ramen of any type. I've never had
the blocks.
No.
What? You must have lived a high life, bro.
Or my parents love me if they taste like this. But I have never, ever in my life. I'll try some cup noodles down the line, like a different one.
You need
this. Josh, thanks, I think. This is a food crime. This is trash.
People in Japan wouldn't even eat that.
I only paid like $1.18 for one of these. So the price is right, but you get what you pay for, my friends. This is certainly unique.
Dude, cup of noodle isn't bad though. Normally,
regularly, it's not bad. I'm
like
sweating.
Regular stuff is fine.
I went to
eating this.
This is a Walmart exclusive. So if anybody wants to try cup noodles, campfire s'mores, you can only find it at Walmart. Yesterday, I picked up Veronica. I was like, "Hey, babe, let's go to Target." She's pumped. She gets in the car. We go straight to Walmart. She looks at me like, "What are we doing here?" I'm like, "I tricked you. I wanted you to come with me. I needed some campfire s'more noodles." So my wife and I are walking around Walmart. We could not find these things anywhere. Their website said it was in stock. I looked everywhere for a worker to try and help me find them. I couldn't find a worker. So I gave up. I placed an order online, pulled up the Walmart pickup today, 24 spots for people to get their groceries. I had to park in spot 19. That's how popping that Walmart pickup was on a Tuesday. Called the lady. It's like, "Hey, it's Robert Jenkins here for the order." She said, "Sir, I have your order. Is it just a bag with 3 cups of noodles in it?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "If you don't want to wait, because it's going to be a while, you can walk inside and come back to automotive and I'll be waiting here with it." I'm like, "Cool, I'm on my way." So shout out to that lady who saved me probably 40 minutes of waiting for 3 cups of noodles. This was terrible. The worst thing we've ever had on New Stuff Cafe. F tier. It's not even close. There's nothing. I will eat 5 Lancian Airs before I will ever take another bite of this.
Dang, bro.
How many meat mountains are you gonna eat before this?
Oh, I would just eat that for leisure.
So what about the Lancian Air with the tartar?
Extra tartar.
Oh,
for everything.
Let's move on. I'm
extra tartar.
Dylan actually liked the cup of noodles, so
he's gonna save that for later.
It wasn't great. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing we've done.
Really, what's worse? Because
yeah, I'm interested in this.
I
was reflecting.
Pickle Dr. Pepper wasn't as bad as you
Dr.
would.
Pepper didn't. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as.
I reflected on life after taking that first bite, Dylan. I was questioning what led me here while I watched the noodle bounce off your beard.
Bro, what was the what was it? What did we garnish with some celery?
Oh, the Buffalo Pepsi?
Was it? Yeah, I think the
That
Buffalo
was-
Pepsi was worse.
Buffalo Pepsi was kind of, I mean, it was a little brutal though.
It was worse.
All right, we're going to have a versus. Buffalo Pepsi versus the cup noodles.
Wow. There you
Actually,
go.
hold on. I take that back. The olive oil Starbucks drink.
You know what?
hot
Oh,
trash.
I'll tell you
yeah.
what. That was an F tier beverage as well. That was like drinking liquid fat. Yeah, dude. That's a good shout. I'll give you that.
Olive oil beverage from Starbucks and s'mores cup of noodles. See that on the Instagram coming soon. Versus.
Eat your noodles, chase it down with the oily. Boy, you guys will be sitting on the toilet the whole next day. Follow that up with a Barbie Olipop or something, you'll be all right. All right, so we're going to go into our discussion. So we're getting ready to talk about, a more spooky story in this You Like It Darker series. But before we do, we're going to talk about some scary places. I'm going to read off and talk through 4. You're welcome to comment on them after we've read through a little bit of the description of each of these places. And at the end, you're going to build your tier list on what place you would most likely stay and what place you would not stay no matter what. Okay. So we're going to start off with a place called Nagoro, Japan. And this is a tiny Japanese village with one very notable feature, a life-size doll population that outnumbers the human population nearly 10-1. The toy residents are the work of a local who began making doll replicas of her neighbors after they died or moved away. The eerie doppelgangers can be seen in various positions across the town. Fishermen sitting on the riverbank, students filling entire classrooms, elderly couples resting on benches outside of buildings, and there are now around 350 dolls and 27 breathing humans. The youngest is over the age of 50 years old. It is quirky and somewhat of a terrifying toyland. So there, go ahead.
I Googled this.
Okay.
This is nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah, dude.
100%.
All these are nightmare fuel. Okay, so that's
I think-
number 1.
I think if it wasn't people who have lived there and died, it wouldn't be as bad. But I don't know. If I'm walking up through this place at night and I see a fisherman sitting on the dock and it doesn't move for like half an hour, I'm scared. I'm running.
Here, I'm gonna put a picture up here for you.
hit it, bro.
That right there, that's what you're just walking
you
through
know
seeing.
what? Those aren't as bad as I thought.
Bro, come on. Keep.
If they got them standing up like that, yeah, but I mean,
That's how it is, bro. That's how it is.
They look.
There were some where I saw pictures and they're just like chilling in their yard.
Oh yeah, no.
It's terrifying. All right, so that's our first place. We'll stay on the doll kick right real quick. We got one more that requires dolls. Island of Dolls, Mexico. Hidden among the burrows, many canals, the tiny island is famous for hundreds of dolls and doll parts. Hanging from trees and scattered among the grass, although it looks more like a horror movie set than anything else, this used to be the actual residence of a now deceased man named Julian Santa Barrera. I'm very bad at that. I can't roll my R's. After finding a dead girl's body in a nearby canal, he collected and displayed the toys in the hopes of warding off evil spirits. Daring souls can hire their own boat to try to convince the driver to pay the island a visit and view the dolls safely from the water. Looks like Robert's got something for us to... Oh.
Absolutely not.
That's number 1 so far.
Look, who's walking through this? There's some trees. There's a creepy looking shack, and there's literally like hundreds of dolls and doll parts hanging.
It's
to
got 'em
welcome
strung
you
up.
in. Absolutely not.
I like how you had to bribe the people driving the boat to get close to it.
If it's that bad, dude, it's terrifying. You know it is. Dylan, were you going to Island of Dolls, bro?
Dude, that's more so what I was expecting whenever you were going to go through all these. So when I saw the first one, I was like, that ain't nothing. But yeah, that.
I feel like we didn't get good pictures of the first one enough, but Island of Dolls is way worse. All right, here we go. Next. We're getting off the stuffed animal dolls, people who died, brought back to life kind of thing. And we're going into Snake Island, Brazil. Located about 90 miles off the coast of Sao Paulo, is one of the most dangerous islands in the entire world. The site earned its moniker due to its insanely high density of golden lancehead vipers. Some studies report an average of 1 to 5 snakes per square meter. When sea levels rose some 11,000 years ago and separated Snake Island from the mainland Brazil, the newly isolated snakes became hyper-evolved and hyper-terrifying to adapt to the changing environment. Without any ground-level prey on the island, the snakes learned to hunt in the treetops and strike at birds from the air. And because they couldn't track down the birds and wait for the poison to kick in, their venom adapted to become 5 times stronger than that of the mainland counterparts, capable of killing their prey instantly, as well as melting human flesh. Because of their potency, the Brazilian government bans the public from ever setting foot on the island, as if you'd want to. Robert's got us a little Nat Geo Wild going on. Dude, we actually got video of this one.
Snakes are absolutely terrifying creatures. There is no amount of money you could pay me to go here.
I heard it's an island, so if I stay on the beach, I'm good. So I'm just gonna be by the water. I'm gonna be by the water. They're gonna be
snakes can swim, playa.
I mean, dude, I like it, but Kiwi's thinking outside the box.
Yeah, he said they hunt in the trees because there's no ground level prey. So as long as you stick to the ground, you stick to the beach, you're away from the trees. You're good.
I'm surviving a night on this island for $1 million.
Hey,
I respect
these snakes
the
are a little
boldness.
scary, bro. These snakes are scary.
Yeah, we don't need to watch what happens.
All right, we have one last place called the Clown Motel in Nevada. While there are plenty reportedly haunted hotels around the world, the award for creepiest accommodations has to go to the Clown Motel in Nevada, the brainchild of Las Vegas chef. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce that name. He appropriately named this hotel, and it's hard to miss. Complete with a polka dot facade, brightly colored doors, and 2 19-foot clown cutouts bookending the property, which we must mention, sites adjacent to the cemetery. But that's nothing compared to what you'll find inside, namely a collection of more than 3,000 clown figurines. Guests can browse the collection and pose with real life-size clown dolls in the main building. Then retreat back to one of many rooms decorated with clown paintings, murals depicting famous horror movie villains, yes, including Pennywise. Sweet dreams. All right, it looks like Robert's got us another Clown Motel.
I guess it depends on if clowns like creep you out, right?
Sure.
So, clowns don't. Pennywise is creepy, sure, but clowns in general, like, I don't know if it would bother me. This is showing us like what. Okay, I'm bothered. I take it back.
Well, if they had figurines in the room, I'd be more bothered. But if it's a painting, I'm less bothered by
that painting's creepy though, dude.
Still,
There's paintings in the room over the bed where you sleep.
But I could take those. I could take those off and face them the other way.
I don't know. Can you?
Look at that.
Hopefully.
Guy.
I don't know, bro. These are terrifying. Look at that.
Yeah.
Under the sink.
Little
clown on the sink, huh? Yeah, so they have drawings.
Why does little clown look like this?
Little clown's evil. The rooms are clown painted. This is hey, you know what though? Shout out to the proprietors of this motel for like having a theme and a gimmick and running with it.
Sure.
Because who's staying in any old motel? Like, they did the thing. Oh, those dolls are creepy. Absolutely not. But they did their thing, dude. Shout out to them.
Yeah, bro. All right, boys. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and rate this up. We'll start with, we'll let our guest go first. Kiwi, Keaton.
All right. So
you have to rate them 1 through 4. 1 being you go ahead and go with it. You could handle that for a night. Could be Rattlesnake Island on the beach.
Right.
To 4 being the place that you will not at all want to set foot on.
All right, I think it's going to just be the reverse order of what you showed them in. It's going to be the Snake Island. It's going to be at number 1, Clown Motel at number 2, the Japan dolls at number 3, and then Doll Island in Mexico at number 4.
All right. So far, Doll Island in Mexico is the place that that it seems like is the one that no one wants to stay in. Dylan, hit us, bro.
Listen. I love me a challenge.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
I'm posting up number 1, Doll Island, Mexico.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2, I'll take the Japan doll place.
Yeah.
Number 3, I'll take the Clown Motel.
Yeah.
And then number 4, what was number 4?
Snake Island, bro.
Snake Island. Yeah, Snake Island. Yeah.
So Snake Island's the place that you're like, no thanks. You're not doing it.
Nah.
But Island of the Dolls, you're all for it, huh?
I'm all for it. Hey, bro. Be a creepy night, spooky night. It'd be a lot of fun.
There you go.
You may not come back from, brother.
It's okay.
Or you may not come back the same. Who
They're
knows?
gonna hang
All right.
you up like one of those dolls in the tree.
Hey. All right, Robert.
All right, man. I'm gonna go start out. That Japan doll at number 1 is like the least spooky. That one's not that bad compared to the other 3. I'll throw Clown Motel in there just because the pictures in the rooms freak me out a little bit. And it's the top one's a toss up. It's tough. So I'm gonna put Island of the Dolls at number 2, and I'm gonna put the Snake Island at number 1 because I'd rather be haunted by some creepy dolls than bit by a snake. So
that's good.
yeah, Snake Island definitely is a no bueno for me.
I mean, all these answers are pretty valid. I mean, if I'm going to go ahead and take my vote, bro, I'm staying at Clown Motel. Okay, that's just like you got a bed. Yeah, it's creepy, but at least, maybe people slept there and survived. You can't even go to Doll Island without convincing some boat dude, and he won't even take you to shore. You have to look at it from the water. You know what I mean? So then after that, I'm going with the Japan place because people still live there. Maybe they're normal. I don't know. Probably not, actually. I mean, come on, dude. If you live in a town with a bunch of scarecrows that used to be your friends,
Yeah,
something's not right. Something's wrong in that town. Okay. Number 3, though, I'm gonna have to take Snake Island because Keaton convinced me when he said you could just chill on the beach. I'm gonna chill on the beach, bro. I'm just hanging out on the beach. I'm gonna survive. And then 4, I ain't going Doll Island, bro.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it.
What makes you gentlemen think them snakes won't come from them trees when they see the prey on the sand?
Bro, they've evolved past that.
I'll start running.
Yeah, dude, they're not gonna want to come in just to bite me, bro. They're gonna leave me alone.
And
I'm not messing with them.
if not, I'm picking up a big stick.
That's true. Actually, though, let me take that back, bro. Let me take that back. I just thought about it. There is something called the tide. The beach just eventually gets covered up and you might get pushed back into the woods. I don't want to be stuck worrying about a snake falling on my head. All right. All right, guys. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. You go ahead and give us your top 4 in our comments. We'd love to see some answers from you guys if you guys are freaked out by clowns or whatever. But for now, give us just a few minutes because we're getting ready to talk about this week's book short story from Stories You Like It Darker, Rattlesnakes, in just a moment. All right, we are continuing our journey through a series of short stories from Stephen King's book, You Like It Darker. And today we are discussing Rattlesnakes. Now, if you want to catch up on all the other ones, we've gone through quite a few through normal episodes, through micro episodes, and we are planning to cover every single short story. So I think we only have like an episode left after this. So of this particular book. So if you have been keeping up with us, now it's time for Rattlesnakes. So Robert, give us the rundown.
So before I jump into the rundown, I want to give a quick shout out to Discord user That One House Elf. She pointed out that this was a sequel to Cujo. I've never read Cujo, and I saw the movie as a child. I don't remember anything about it other than I watched it with my grandma because she liked to put horror movies on when I came over. So I hit the internet and I did a deep dive into the Cujo novel. And after doing that and then reading this, I do think the story stands fine on its own if you don't do your homework, but it does hit a lot harder if you are a fan of Cujo or if you take the 20 minutes or so to kind of read a plot synopsis. So thank you, That One House Elf, for bringing that to my attention. And RattleSnakes is about Vic Trenton, decades after the loss of his son and shortly after the loss of his wife, picking up as he's grieving and going to hide out the COVID-19 pandemic in his rich friend Greg's mansion along the Gulf Coast of Florida and Rattlesnake Key. Shortly after his arrival, he meets an old lady named Alita Bell, haunted by the loss of her own children. But is it more than grief that haunts Alita?
So this was a great story, and I agree with what Robert said. I think that before reading this, because I did a similar thing to you, I've seen the movie, but it has been a long time ago since I saw the movie Cujo, and I didn't really want to watch the movie again necessarily, and so I did a quick wiki refresher on Cujo. But I agree, I believe it totally added to this story. So I'm gonna give the floor to Keaton to kind of start us off, bro.
Yeah,
hold on. Time out, dude. Dylan, what's up, bro?
One might say a quickie.
Bro, ever since we let Dylan talk on red screen, it's all gone downhill. We've been nothing but in the gutter ever since.
I actually received a message from Travis of the Last Co-op podcast today that said, your all's newest micro episode today was amazing. Dylan almost took that conversation to the X rating.
It's so true, Dylan. Dylan, where you
talking about the story? I don't.
I love how Dylan. That's always what Dylan does. He always he's defending it now. You can't defend what you just said, though, Dylan. You can't. It's over.
What do you mean? That's what it was.
What's said is said.
It was a quick wiki. A quickie.
All right, Keaton, go ahead, bro. I want to give the floor to you first.
I also did a quickie. So I have not seen the Cujo movie, but I did read, like I said, or like you guys said, a short, synopsis of it. And I think it added to it for sure. But my biggest thing was I talked to Robert about this earlier when he met up to give me the Noodles. I saw a lot of stuff about this being a lot of people's favorite short story in the You Like It Darker, overall book. And I would have to agree, maybe not my favorite because I haven't read the last one, so I don't know how good that'll be. But we will see. I really like jumping right into it. I enjoyed the kind of like you were in Vic's head. You saw him slowly becoming leaning into this thing with Allie or Alita Bell and her kids.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, dude. So like it starts off like Vic kind of is the father of Tad from Cujo. And for readers who've never read Cujo before, and I believe the book has a different ending than the movie, but Tad dies at the end of the book. This kid dies from dehydration after he and his mom are trapped in the broken down car by the rabid Saint Bernard. And that trauma of that kid's death led to Vic and Donna divorcing. So we kind of see them reconcile in this novel, which was nice and a little bittersweet. And then at the end, Donna claims to see their dead son as an adult, lead her into the afterlife. And for me, that's when the story kind of like, okay, this is like genuinely creepy. We're going to get like a pretty cool ghost story. And yeah, that's basically what it turns into.
And so he goes and spends some time at Rattlesnake Key. And then he gets to stay there for free, essentially.
Yeah.
And
his best friend's rich and like, hey man, come post up on my mansion.
Yeah.
He's staying months there. So it's like June or July and he can stay till September. So he's got it pretty good.
Yeah, pretty sweet setup until, he meets Allie or whatever. And dude, she was a little like, I like how they brought her into it. It just seemed like here comes this crazy lady, essentially, rolling the stroller around. But obviously that adapts and evolves at some point in the story. But I thought that the opening scene with her in particular, it just kind of made me, my mind already started turning, because I feel like in these You Like It Darker stories, ever since we started doing these, None of them have been extremely predictable. Even the ones that are predictable are not predictable because they were predictable. Right. So I'm like, where's Steven taking us with this one in particular, especially when it came to her, especially with the stroller as she's pushing the boys around. Because when they got together and met up and they have like a normal conversation and she's like talking to the boys as if they're there, like, don't y'all get in any trouble and don't get into his stuff and don't mess anything up and all that kind of stuff. But then in between those things, as she's talking to him, it just feels very casual. And like you're having a conversation when you have kids running around the house. I'm like, oh, I've had these kind of conversations before. As I'm trying to have an adult conversation, I'm telling Oliver to quit screaming or quit running and tearing things up, that kind of thing. So it was very, and in that, because that was going on, I was like, man, this is starting to take a little bit of a creepy turn.
Dude, like, first off, when you mentioned like Miss Bell being in the house, they're having a casual conversation. Like, he approaches her and she has the stroller and she's like, oh, this is my two sons, Jacob and Joseph. And there's no kids in that stroller. So right off the bat, if I'm Vic, I'm gone. See you, Miss Bell. Deuces. Yep. But you know what, dude? I know how grief can affect somebody, especially if it involves a child. So, the twins were age 4. She kind of has that age group clothing. I empathize with Miss Bell a little bit. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a pass this time. But when she comes to the home and brings some cookies and my man's like, yeah, come in with your ghost. Come on in here and chill. I'll eat the cookies. He invited the spirits in, Justin. And then he definitely did. And then he's talking to her and he's eating the cookies and he hears a loud crash in his study. And there's no one there but Alita and him. And nah, the spirits are there. So he goes upstairs. What's up? Greg likes cats. The ghost children done threw the cat toys all over the room. And what's Vic do? Vic stays. I'm already gone. I'm out of Rattlesnake Key.
I would have been gone too. And just the fact that she realizes it herself, that like it's kind of crazy. Because she says, I know they're not there, really.
Yeah. That just was adds to sad. It. Yeah. That hurt.
But wasn't it like, I know they're not there, but I also feel like they're there.
Yeah, but sometimes they are.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of gave that whole, again, it just kept with that dark, eerie vibe, kind of setting the tone for what ends up happening later on in this one.
Well, this story delivers on like that supernatural front of the creepiness of the ghost story throughout several scenes, but it also delivered on just like straight up gruesome, gory, one of the most graphic scenes involving children I've ever read in a book.
Definitely.
Vic is like asked the groundskeeper of Greg. He's like, hey, what's going on with that lady? Like, how did her kids lose their life? And he's like, the story, the little boys are in this woods and they're going on an adventure to the beach. Well, they fall off a little cliff into a pit of rattlesnakes and the rattlesnakes strike them. They cling to them. The description King used about the poison swelling through their bodies and the snake biting the little boy in the head and stuck on their arms and legs as they're trying to escape. That stuff haunted me, dude. And in my Cujo research, Stephen King caught flack early in his career for killing Tad. Like, it was a big controversy back in 1982 to kill a kid in a novel. So my man said, y'all want controversy? I'm going to kill 2 4-year-olds in the most gruesome way possible. Deal with it.
Yeah, the description of it was crazy in depth. I mean, it talked about how one of the brothers, I forget it was Jake or Joseph, one of the brothers, whichever one was able to walk a little bit farther after they fell in the pit, he saw his brother like slowly fall on the ground and start swelling up from the venom as he was trying to walk away and go get help.
Yeah. It was brutal. Like, we read Lori last week, and it was like Cozy King, we called it. There ain't no Cozy King here, bro. That's out the door.
No.
He definitely took a turn on this one. Out of all the stories we've read so far, this one is the most Stephen King to me. Definitely. As far as like what we're used to when we think of Stephen King, which is that horror, it's dark, it's creepy, it's disturbing. Because I mean, no one writes a disturbing scene quite like King does, like that gets under your skin, into your mental psyche, and messes with you. This book actually, I feel like, or this story in particular, there is the Viper scene. There's all the stuff that we're getting ready to talk about at the end with the boys and the ghost stuff that's coming up. All of this is very disturbing. It definitely messed with me. It was one of those, and we've talked about this with books before, but once I shut off the Audible, and I had to take like 5 minutes to sit and just like reset. All right, dude, I got to go back about my day here.
The action really ramps up once you get closer to the end. It goes from like he's seeing some stuff, he's hearing some stuff and thinking some stuff to like, craziness. So
yeah, and he finds so he goes on his daily walk, right, and he passes Alita. And one thing Stephen King does well with the creep factor of this is that Stroller has a squeaky wheel. So it's like you hear the squeak, pause, and he'd hear it throughout the night. Well, then one day he finds Alita just dead. She's on the side of the road. Vultures are eating her. It was another gruesome description in that scene. And he kind of fights him off and saves her. And that's when the haunting of Vic Triton truly begins. Like he wakes up and finds that creepy Stroller with the squeaky wheel in his garage. And then he takes the Stroller back, and then it just naturally ends up back at its house on its own. And at this point, Vic is still here. And I'm confused. I'm like, Vic, bruh, you gotta go.
You're like, run.
Please. I'm yelling at the book. Like, why are you not in your car? Out. And then it gets worse. Like the woman wrote a will.
Yep.
Made him the beneficiary of millions that her estate's worth. A dude she just met. No relatives. What do the police call that, Justin?
Yeah, dude. And so that was what's interesting is once this happened and she leaves the will and all of that, I went right back to Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream. Because then we had a cop who suspected him of doing the killing and would not be convinced otherwise. I was like, oh, this feels very familiar to what we've already read a portion of, because they were like, hey, here's motive. Clearly you knew or you saw that she did this or whatever. And so it was a very, I was like, well, what's this going to be? But then it quickly starts to make sense.
Oh, yeah.
Keaton, man, if you walk in your garage and you see that little Stroller there and you're like, nah, my head's playing tricks on me. And you go upstairs and then you hear squeak, pause, and you go back downstairs and that Stroller moved to the other side of your car, you staying?
I'm not staying. No, and I'm not going to hide it. Like he was trying to hide it from this, retired detective. He was like, I think that Stroller moved. I'd have been like, no, that Stroller definitely moved, dude. You're on something. If you're not going to take the Stroller, I'm leaving. So, and I think even because he tried to leave, but since it's, during the pandemic, during COVID, he couldn't find anything, or, I'd call it a coincidence or call it, supernatural, whatever. He couldn't even find a way out of there. And with the investigation going on too.
Yeah. They told him he couldn't go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dane Cobb's Bad Dream. Went right back to it.
Well, you get some pretty cool haunting scenes that we talked about. And then eventually good old Vic puts 2 and 2 together. And he's like, you know what, man? The Stroller is what's keeping these ghost boys here chilling. Like, if I destroy the Stroller, maybe these boys will leave me alone. And that kind of takes us to like the back third of the story. Vic's 70 years old, by the way. He's old.
Yeah, he's old, man.
Old man. He out here with the Stroller trying to push it through the sand. Meanwhile, the ghosts kind of like pick up on what they're doing. And he's like, hey, boys, I'm going to take you for a roll. Because that was another thing. They would get in his head throughout the entire story and say, push us. Roll us, see us. Yeah.
Yes.
So such a good, creepy, kids are terrifying ghost story, man. But
let me add, and maybe I've heard this, and I missed. Somehow I wasn't sure if I was grasping an understanding of what these kids looked like, because he mentioned that they were adult bodies, right, or something like that, with kids' heads.
Yeah, that makes me think about the first time he saw him. in like a dream or whatever, like in the guest room of the mansion he's staying in. And in the book they call them McMansions, so I think that's pretty funny. But he sees them, and they have the head of their child self, and it's all swollen up, but they have the body of a man. So
yeah, and there's like a quote in that book, like, you die, but you continue to grow if you die young, something or other along the way.
You can choose to grow, or you can choose to be like a hybrid. Some of you grown, some of you not grown.
Yeah, they grew into nightmare fuel.
Yeah, they did. One of the scenes that really got me, even before the beach scene, when he was pushing the stroller on the beach, was when he woke up in the middle of the night and the stroller was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it started squeaking in the bathroom, and it saw just a tub full of snakes and a hand stick up out of the tub of snakes.
Yeah. No thanks, dude. I'm good.
All this.
All of it's no thanks. The boys pick up that he's trying to destroy him, and they start like attacking him with fake snakes and spiritual stuff. And then homie encounters like some live rattlesnakes, because why not? Vic hasn't been through enough. His kid suffocated in a car by a rabid Saint Bernard. His wife tried to fight off. His wife died after they reconciled their marriage. Vic's just trying to live out his days, man. He's getting haunted. Snakes coming at him. It's all. I felt bad for Vic, but you know what, man? So eventually he does get the stroller in a whirlpool, and that assumingly banishes the twins, and then he gets let off for the murder of Miss Bell. And basically the toxicology in the coroner's report was like she died of a heart attack, and she's had several over the years, which, hey, man, I'm no expert, but if my kids died young and I saw them every day, I'm assuming I'm having heart attacks on the regular as well.
You can even see it sometimes, like whenever he sees the kids or hears them or, sees the stroller, sometimes he'll start freaking out. I'm like, is this dude about to have a heart attack too?
That's what I thought. Like it was maybe this was going to be like some weird hallucination story.
Yeah.
But it was not. It was a pretty cool ghost story with some crazy gore. And shout out to Lloyd Sunderland, the protagonist from Lori, for attending the funeral of Miss Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Nice touch.
That was nice. Again, more crossovers. I like that.
I really, well, I'll get, so at the are we pretty much towards the end?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah,
well, because I know at the end, he sees Duma keys, which is like supposedly underwater. And I don't know where I seen it. Maybe it was on Reddit or whenever when I was looking up the book. And they were saying that Stephen King also has a book called Duma Keys. And so that kind of was a add on to that, and snuck that in as a Easter egg or whatever. But I really liked at the funeral, the retired detective that always, thought that Vic had killed her and got away with it. He was still, this dude was drunk at the funeral, and he was like, I still believe you did it.
Yeah, dude.
That's just a weird hill to die on.
He wouldn't let it go. He's like, nothing points towards you doing it outside of the fact that you got all this money, but yet you did it.
Yeah.
What a jerk. What a jerk.
Yeah, man. Come on, bro. Sometimes the facts are the facts. It's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, boys. Y'all ready to do a lightning round?
Let's hit it, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question we got, if you guys have listened for a little while, lightning rounds, we have some questions, give about a minute or so a piece to answer these to each person. And we'll go with, we'll let guests start us off here. What scene creeped you out the most, Kiwi?
So I think it's between a tie of the very end when he's pushing the stroller on the beach, and like the whole beach is on fire because they, corralled all the snakes onto the edge of this beach and lit them on fire. So it's either that when everything's on fire around him and there's snakes biting him, or the scene where Alita Bell was getting eaten by the buzzards. So, because it goes descriptive. Like it says when he's trying to, this 70-year-old man is trying to shoo the buzzards away, one grabs onto her bicep and like tears a piece of it off, and her bottom lip was missing, and there were a bunch of it gets pretty in depth into some of the damage that they did. So it's between those two, I think. Yeah,
for me, it's definitely the buzzard scene, because I don't know, it took me back to a movie, and I can't even remember. It was like I can't remember which movie it was, but I remember a desert scene in a movie where they found a dude missing. It was like mobster or something, and he was being eaten alive by buzzards. And it just took me back there, and I was like, man, that's brutal. To find somebody, imagine finding somebody in that state with that happening, how traumatizing that would be. So yeah, that scene definitely. So go ahead. Keith.
I was gonna say, he looked her in the eyes, and her eyes weren't there because they had plucked them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He really delivered on the gore in the story too.
Oh yeah.
If I'm going creepy scene from like a supernatural sense, it was like Vic's sitting there at night and Keaton brought it up, the bathtub scene. Like, Vic's laying in bed. He hears squeak paws coming from the bathroom. Bro, I don't know what's going on in that bathroom. All I know is the blanket's going over my head. The ghosts are coming to me. I'm not going in that bathroom, but Vic went in the bathroom, saw the tub, the strollers in the bathroom, and there's like little burial suits that the twins were buried in, hanging on the side of it, and then those tubs full of rattlesnakes, and you see a little kid's arm come up there and like motion him closer. Like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm out.
I like how during the story, Vic just knows more and more about the kids, and like, he knows they had matching coffins and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and the shirts killed me. I love the shirts too.
Oh, the little dad jokes on all the
Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather be stuck in a room with snakes or spiders, Keaton?
Spiders, 100%. They're little. I can smush them.
All right, Robert.
That's spiders. It's not even close.
Man, that's Dylan. Dylan, go ahead, Dylan. Dylan has like a hot take. I can tell by his face.
I think I would go with snakes.
But
he's just trying to be different.
Bro, dude, spiders, like, I'd much rather have like snakes wrapped around me than little things crawling on me.
Oh man.
How many are we talking here? That's the real question.
I mean, both are terrible choices.
They're both terrible choices, but let me tell you this. I went to my shed in the backyard the other day to get my lawnmower out, and there were spider webs, and the minute I walked through and one of them touched my face, I had an absolute meltdown. So I think I don't know. I'm going to go with snakes. Both are terrible choices, but just I don't like the idea of, like you were saying, the little legs crawling on me somehow. At least a snake, I could see it. If it's slithering on me, whatever, Anyway, all right. Both terrible choices, we agree. Would you vacation on Rattlesnake Key for free, Kiwi?
If I'm not being haunted, yes.
Robert?
That's simple.
So like, I guess the difference between Vic and me, I touched on, like, I hear a loud noise in an unfamiliar house in the middle of the night. Those ghosts have to come to me, right? So for free, Rattlesnake Key, these McMansions on the beach, the way they were describing these homes, hey, bro, Jacob and Joe are my new best bros. We chilling. I'll push you, roll you, see you. Yeah, bro, I'll walk you down the boardwalk daily. We'll stop by that fish restaurant and have a sandwich with Lloyd and Lori. Like,
he didn't like when they called him dad, though. You gonna let that happen?
He didn't. Yeah,
bro. They call me whatever they want if I'm staying on Rattlesnake Key for free.
All right, done. All right, we're all staying at Rattlesnake Key. All right, let's give our final. Let's give our final 3 words for this one. That's Robert.
Right.
Kids are creepy. I mean,
bro, did you steal mine?
I used that one not that long ago.
He saw the notes.
Did you? I sent him my notes. That's mine.
I use kids are creepy in one of these books already. Yeah. I can't remember which one, but yeah, dude, the's no better way to describe it. Kids are creepy.
Kids are creepy. All right, dude. I guess
I'll switch it, bro. Snakes are creepy. There you go. I'm good.
Spiders are also creepy. All right, Keaton, go ahead.
Squeak, squeak, squeak.
Nice.
I like it.
All right, guys. Hey, that's it for Rattlesnakes from You Like It Darker. Give us just a few minutes because right up ahead is Nerdy News in just a moment.
So every time you tune into an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, we go over some of the latest and greatest news in the Nerdverse. And each week we kick things off with the sighting of the week. And this week's sighting is the Chernobyl disaster. So the Chernobyl disaster. So there's a couple layers to this story. So leading up to Chernobyl disaster. There was apparently what is Robert's playing the video, but we'll play the whole video in just a second. But you can check it out on TikTok. I posted it on our sighting board. But essentially, this Mothman creature with red eyes was seen weeks leading up to this disaster. And so the Chernobyl power plant was a nuclear plant that just, I guess, blew up, and I assuming they were sending like a bunch of like military and helicopters and things like that to try to put out all the fires and control this nuclear disaster and all like the fallout from the explosion. And apparently they were seeing this Mothman like creature in the like through the smoke. And while it, like they were trying to, like I said, keep everything kind of contained and just kind of flying over, he was seen even leading up to the weeks beforehand. So I mean, I don't know. I think it looks interesting. I don't know what you guys think of some of the visuals. I don't believe in that video you actually see what they were talking about, unfortunately. It's more just speculation and by word of mouth more so. But I definitely thought it was a very interesting story overall for the Chernobyl disaster. Yeah, Chernobyl disaster, however you say it.
So Mothman is one of my favorite myths type things, mythical creatures, if you will. And we've done a lot of talking about Mothman at some point on this show, but that's a very common thing. It's not the first time we've heard this. Right before there's a disaster, right before something terrible happens, a bridge collapses or a power plant explodes, or there's a massive fire somewhere, whatever. People witness a flying creature with red eyes that they call the Mothman. And so this isn't the first time we've heard about this. So I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Mothman.
You think it's the same Mothman that they see in Kentucky or Virginia, whatever one it is?
Kentucky has it too. Eastern Kentucky has the Mothman. They've seen him there. They have.
You seen him there?
No, but in West Virginia. Now in West Virginia, they have the Mothman Museum.
Really?
So I'm trying to convince Maggie to let me go.
Nerdy Reads podcast trip.
Listen,
Mothman Museum.
I'd be in 100% to go check out the Mothman.
I'd go
Museum.
for sure. I'm going to go ahead and say I believe in the Mothman too. How can you not? And it's Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, yeah.
Chernobyl. I was saying Chernobyl. I don't know where I got that from.
Maybe
Chernobyl sounds right. Yeah.
You were thinking of that game, that ninja game, Shinobi.
That's
maybe from the nuclear blast that gave us the actual Mothman. Maybe they were just seeing things, and now the radiation gave us Mothman.
We are now a conspiracy podcast.
Bro, we've kind of been a conspiracy podcast to some degree.
I'm wondering when we're gonna do the next book on cryptids.
Point Pleasant is where the Mothman Museum is.
Point Pleasant, West Virginia. We need to go. We're going.
Let's do it. I'm in.
I'm buying tickets right now.
Done. Next.
So our very first piece of news this week is actually something that I'm super excited when it comes to like the news world. So if you guys haven't heard, especially with you all being big anime guys, I figured you might find this kind of interesting. But so the newest anime is, hold on, let me rephrase that. So basically Terminator is going to be releasing the Terminator franchise is going to be making a new anime. I believe it's coming to Netflix. And it's going to be very heavily inspired by the original movie. It's being developed by Mattson Tomlin. And it's going to be like an 8-episode show. Like I said, it's coming to Netflix by the animation studio Project IG and Skydance Television. It looks really sick, I think. I'm not a big anime guy, but I mean, this is something I personally would probably definitely dive into whenever it releases.
You kind of it's been you kind of seen that a lot recently with different IPs and stuff coming out with anime stuff. You had Star Wars; they had their Star Wars thing with a bunch of animators, and then I think they recently had one come out too, not this year, a Suicide Squad one. So I know that's something you might be interested in, Dylan. Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Well, this Terminator anime looks dope. I love Terminator 2. That's a great movie, man. So yeah, I'll check this out for sure. You can go ahead and plug it. Look for the Anime Tofu episode on episode 1 of this.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, this comes out August 29th to Netflix. So it's coming pretty soon. And it's also, so the cast is going to be Timothy Oliphant, which I'm not really sure who that is, not too familiar with him, but it is going to have Rosario Dawson in it, and that honestly gets me super hyped. So
next,
what do you know if it's going to be in English or subtitled, or do you know?
With it being Rosario Dawson, I'm assuming it's probably going to be in English.
There you go.
I love Rosario Dawson. That's Ahsoka, bro. Come on now. All right. Our next piece of news is actually something I'm super hyped for as well. And it is, so if you're not familiar, I know I've talked before that I'm a big Ubisoft fan. I love Ubisoft video games, from Assassin's Creed to Ghost Recon to Splinter Cell to Watch Dogs and everything in between. Keaton is just doesn't have good taste in games, I guess. Which I'm just kidding. We play Ghost Recon for a hot minute. But anyway, so one of the Assassin's Creed, another one I love, another franchise I love from them. But one of my favorites, and honestly, I wish we had more games from it, and it's actually the Watch Dogs series. So Watch Dogs, they actually officially announced a movie being made. So like 10 years ago, they were wanting to put a Watch Dogs movie or some sort of movie set within the Watch Dogs universe. They wanted to create their own movie in that universe. And I guess like the production just never really kind of got rolling on that. But they've officially announced that production has began on that movie. Not much is coming out with like the plot other than it's going to be set in the Watch Dogs universe. I mean, it's looking pretty sick to me, I think, personally. I mean, if you haven't played these games, I think they're awesome. I think it's a very unique spin on an open world video game. I just like a lot of hacking and a lot of like, I don't know. I think it's super cool. You're like some sort of vigilante hacker, which I think is super sick. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't played the game or unfamiliar with the story, since it's going to be a movie, I don't know what direction the movie's going to go, but your main character is like trying to get revenge for the murder of his family, but he's like super hacker man, and he can hack into any camera, any car. It's set deep in the future, so Teslas are in it. He can hack into the Teslas and follow his targets and do all that stuff.
If you've played... they got 3 games right now, so if you've played any of them, you're probably going to be interested just by the video, so the trailer. So, I don't know. There's a lot of mixed reviews about the 3rd game. I would say I hope this follows the direction of the 1st and 2nd games more than it does the 3rd game. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like the direction they went with Watch Dogs Legion was not... I kind of wish they went a different direction. I really wish they would have built off the foundation that they laid with the first 2 games, especially the first game. The first game is phenomenal, probably one of my top games of all time. 2 is really good too. It's a slightly different direction than the first game went. It's a little more kind of on the goofy side, a little less serious compared to the first game, but I really enjoyed both of them. Legion, I played. It was cool. It was all right. They had some cool ideas, cool concepts, just poorly executed, which is a Ubisoft staple.
Sure.
With their games. So,
from the look of this trailer, I'm wondering if it's going to be animated. I'm guessing it is.
This is a game trailer here.
Yeah, this is the gameplay.
Yeah,
okay.
They haven't. So, as far as the movie goes, they haven't really announced really anything about it, other than like Ubisoft posted like a behind the scenes picture and was basically, I think they did like some sort of, they tagged it with like lights, camera, action or something like that, but it was like in code almost. So it wasn't like anything too. Not a lot of stuff has come out about what it's really going to be about and how they're going to go about it and what direction they're going to go. Unfortunately, it was just one announcement just to let people know, like, hey, we're working on this. So
I could easily see maybe a TV series about this too if the movie, does really well.
Our last piece of news today is something I personally think is cool. It's not necessarily news. I just thought it was a cool little piece. If you're a Star Wars nerd, and if you've listened to an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, I love my Star Wars, especially the prequels. So if you're a prequels nerd, hop over to Star Wars Theory YouTube channel. He recently did a 45-minute long vlog / interview with Nick Gillard. And if you don't know who Nick Gillard is, he is the choreographer for the prequel films. And he just has a really awesome interview where he just gets to hang out with Nick Gillard, a guy who got to work closely with George Lucas, Hayden, Ewan, all the guys from the prequels. So if you're a Star Wars fan, just go check that little interview out, because they just talk about a lot of stuff from that time period. If that's something you're interested in, I just thought it was something cool to throw out there. So
that's cool, man.
And also breaking, this is more so for Robert for New Stuff Cafe. Apparently Chick-fil-A is bringing back the banana pudding milkshake after a decade of being gone, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I might have to try it.
Hey, thanks, dude. We're definitely going to do that on New Stuff Cafe. When's it come out? Do you have a date?
I'm not really sure. It just says that it's returning, so hopefully it's
Has it really been 10 years since that's? I feel like I've seen that not too long ago.
Apparently so.
It's a good thing we don't film on Sundays. Robert, you know what time it is?
Man, it's time for What's Hot. We here at the Nerdy Reads podcast can't read everything. That's why we bring you something popular around the book verse. And this week, it is The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. Jeremy and Rafe, two best friends, go missing in Red Crow State Forest on a field trip when all hope seems lost. They reappear 6 months later with one question: how did they survive? 15 years later, Rafe has no memory of the time they were lost, while Jeremy remembers everything. They're hired by Emile to find her sister who went missing in the same forest. Together, they must re-enter the enchanted world they called home for 6 months, and this one is tagged fantasy, fiction, and magical realism. What drew me into this was the author being inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia, which is something I loved as a kid, and we even covered here on this show earlier this year. Plus, Meg Schaefer wrote it, and I love The Wishing Game, so definitely going to check this one out.
That's awesome.
If it even has a fraction of the world building that the Chronicles of Narnia has, I think it'll be a good read for sure.
100%, boys. But coming up next week on the Nerdy Reads podcast, join us as we conclude our coverage of Stephen King's You Like It Darker with the final two stories, The Dreamers and The Answer Man. We will have a special guest next week. Stay tuned for who that is.
Yeah, something also to keep in mind is next week, I think we'll probably be announcing what our next book will be that we'll be covering in the future episodes. Is that right, Robert? I believe that's correct.
Hey, you know what? We here at the Dirty Reads podcast, you found it out live just like I did, baby. Next week, you will find out what the next book club book will be.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Just like that.
Just like that, hot off the press. Guys, that's how organized we are,
We're
all
off
right,
the cuff, baby.
We're off the cuff right now, at least. All right, guys. Hey, that's it for us today. We covered Rattlesnakes from the short story from You Like It Darker book by Stephen King. It's getting a reigning review from at least the three of us here. And we talked a lot about some scary, spooky places. We'd love to hear from you about where you would rank those spots. The boys tried some cup of noodles, but it wasn't your typical cup of noodle. It was s'mores, smoky s'mores. Go to your campground noodles. Keaton took us a whiff just now, and obviously it wasn't that good. There's a lot of things that we have coming up, including the announcement of what book we will be covering at some point next here on the Nerdy Reads podcast. So you're going to want to be keeping up with the things that we got going on. Robert, where can they find us?
Man, first off, guys, the scariest thing we covered today was not the book. It was not the scary places. It was that cup of noodles. You can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, and YouTube at the Nerdy Reads Podcast. Go ahead and like and subscribe to us, guys. The best way you can help us out and support this show is tell a friend. If you enjoy what we put out, give us a share. It goes a long way. We appreciate every one of you.
That is right. Keaton, we appreciate you being on the show this week, bro.
Of course. And, I've maybe heard some, some whisper and some talking behind the scenes, but maybe expect me on some other shows here soon in the near future. Who knows?
Self-plug. I love it.
Dude, I love my man just self-promoted himself. Hey, Kiwi.
I can see anything. Also, you can go ahead and add the co-op podcast onto that. So they talk video games. I like video games. So get me in touch. All right.
He's trying to get on all the shows. Keaton, you'd be great. You'd be a great guest on that show.
What can I say?
Keaton is Optic Blast broadcast approved. So last co-op, get my boy Keaton on there.
Yeah,
actually,
and Dylan, you can
from
do
what I hear, Optic Blast needs a guest this week. So I mean, maybe
on
keep
now.
us on
We
Optic
do
Blast.
actually. So
Yeah.
I'm always in. We can go ahead and do a co-op episode with the co-op podcast, Dylan, me and you.
All right, done. All right, so wow.
Anime Tofu also, you catch me on there.
All right, we cannot end an episode, and we will not, we should not, we cannot end an episode without some advice from our very own sweet baby Dylan. What is it this week, my man?
listen. When life shuts a door, open it again. It's a door. It's how they work.
That advice sounds very familiar.
What?
I literally shared that advice as advice from Dylan when you weren't on the show one week.
No way.
Dude,
Was that the one
that-
that was on?
oh, that's where this is staying in the episode, dude. Dude, when I did that, I said I found the most Dylan advice of all time, and I literally did the listen. I looked
You called it.
right, and then I said the exact same one. All right, guys. Here at the Nerdy Reads podcast, we enjoy a good story. We believe that your story matters. So be good to each other. Let's stay nerdy, our friends. Say bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Later.